Hi guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm hoping to do what I hope will be a short little video all about how I annotate my books. So I've only recently started annotating my books last year. Before last year, I could not imagine ever writing or marking in my books at all. But because I started reading so much, before last year, I was reading 40, 50 books a year, and now I'm reading 140 books a year. So I was reading a lot of books, and I was reading a lot of books in series. And so I started annotating as a way to be able to highlight very important plot points and things that happen in books so that when the subsequent book came out, I wouldn't have to reread the previous one. I could just flip through those annotations and I would recall to memory the important things that happened. And when I started doing that, I discovered how much I loved the process of annotating, and so now it's something that I do with most of the books that I read. Not all of them, but most of them. I also find that if I'm in a reading slump, like a really bad reading slump, and I'm not enjoying any of the books that I'm picking up, and I just can't get back into reading, what I like to do is I like to pick up favorite books that I've read before that I've annotated and flip through just to the points that I've highlighted, the best scenes and the best lines, and it really gets me excited to read again without having to reread an entire book to get back in the reading mood, if that makes sense. So that is kind of why I annotate and why I've been annotating. And now I'm gonna go over my process and kind of how I do it. So when I first started annotating, I didn't really have a system. I just kind of went in with a pen or a pencil to underline certain important scenes and quotes and whatnot, and that was it. I used to use like sticky notes to mark the page. I know a lot of people on BookTube like to use those colorful rainbow tabs. I kind of stopped doing that, and I just used to use like pieces of sticky notes. It was really messy. It was a messy process for me, but I found something that I think is a lot neater and works better for what I need. So what I use instead of those sticky tabs is actually book darts. They come in these little tins of like 50 or 25 or 125, and I get these on Amazon. And basically they are just these they're like little bookmarks, and they have a pointy end so that you can stick it in the book. So you can stick it in the book right where you want to indicate what you're highlighting. So these are what I use. I absolutely love these. For my personal taste, I don't really like the look of tabs sticking out of the book, and also I feel like they get bent, they get dirty pretty easily when they're shelved on my shelves. So I've been using these and I absolutely love them. And like I said, you can get these on Amazon. If I remember, I'll put a link down in the description. And along with the book darts, I like to use highlighters, and I've got these highlighters. I got them on Amazon as well, I believe. They're not like the best highlighters, but they are pastel colors, which works great in the book, and they do not bleed through, which is really important. So I have 6 different colors here, and the 6 different colors are representative of different things that I like to highlight in my books while I'm annotating. So I use purple to highlight any quotes that I found really beautiful or really meaningful. I use orange for things that make me angry. Whether it's something that I think is problematic or whether it's just something that a character does that really pisses me off, I use orange for. Fortunately, I don't use orange that much while I'm annotating, so that's a good thing. I use my blue highlighter to highlight important plot points. So these are the big things that happen in books that will carry on into other series that are important to remember and to look back on. So that is what I use blue for. I use the yellow highlighter to highlight things that I find hilarious. So anytime a character is really, really funny or a situation is just really, really funny, I use the yellow to highlight so I can go back and just have a good time laughing about it. Pink is for love. So this is kind of a dual purpose one. I use pink to highlight moments, relationship moments between characters, but I also use pink to highlight things that I particularly love. So if it's a scene that I particularly love and it's not necessarily important to the plot, then instead of using the blue highlighter, I will use this one to indicate how much I loved that scene. And then of course it also goes for romantic or even platonic love between characters in books. And then my last highlighter, the green one, is the one that I use the most in fantasy novels because this one denotes world building. So sometimes you're reading a fantasy book and it has a really complicated world, and sometimes I like to highlight sections that describe the world so that I can go back when I'm reading something further along in the book and I'm like, wait a minute, what does that mean again? And I can go back to where I highlighted in green and see how the world works. I also use green to help with character descriptions so I can remember what they look like. So anything that describes the world or the characters that I think is important and need to remember, I use my green highlighter for. And then of course, when I highlight something, I will go ahead and put my little book dart on that section so that I can flip to it easily in the book. And then the last thing I use is a pen, just a regular pen. Well, this isn't a regular one. It's a cute little mermaid pen. I love using fun pens like this. So of course I use a pen anytime I need to write something down. So if I'm highlighting something and I feel like I need to clarify why I highlighted it, then I will definitely use the pen to write in the margins and, you know, either mention how much I loved the scene or mention why I think it's important. I like to jot little theories down in the margins as well for what I think will happen. So that is where the pen comes in handy. And then everything goes in my little pouch here. I use this as my annotation pouch. It's a really cute, it's a really beautiful Darker Shade of Magic inspired pouch that came in an Owl Crate box, and I absolutely love this. I take it with me everywhere. Whenever I'm reading, it's right next to me, or if I take my book anywhere, I take this pouch along with me as well. So that is how I annotate, and in my little reading journal here, you will see that I've wrote down a key of all the colors and what they mean, which is exactly what I just explained to you. Sometimes I forget while I'm doing it, so I have a little key to go back and reference. I tried to find a book that I had annotated the most, little examples of what I do. The book I annotated the most is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, is anyone surprised? And you can see here all the little book tarts and annotations that I have in this particular book. This isn't like the best example, mostly because most of the annotations in here are just beautiful, beautiful quotes because this book is beautifully written, but it'll kind of give you an idea anyway. So here I've highlighted one of my favorite quotes from The Night Circus. It says, "People see what they wish to see, and in most cases, what they are told to see." And I love that quote. And so that is highlighted in purple with a little book dart next to it. And you'll see here, this is highlighted in pink because it's when Celia and Marco meet for the first time. And I absolutely love that scene. And of course, we know they develop a relationship in the future. And I just love seeing I just love that scene of their first moment meeting. So that is in pink. And then you can also see I wrote a little bit in the margins, they meet for the first time, and I put a little heart next to it. So that is sometimes what I do as far as writing in the book. And there is another instance here of something I highlighted. It is a quote from Herr Friedrich Thyssen, and he's just talking about how he feels going back to the circus. And I highlighted that in purple because it's a quote that I really love, and I wrote here how I feel rereading this book because I actually annotated this book while I was rereading it, and this quote just kind of summed up the feelings that I was having while rereading the book. And it was where he was saying that he feels as though he's returning home after an extended absence, and that's exactly how I felt rereading this book. Yeah, so most of the annotations in here are in pink and purple. You guys know by now, this is my favorite book of all time, so it is heavily annotated with just beautiful quotes and things and scenes that I absolutely love. But that is a little bit of an idea of how I annotate. I hope that this video covered everything. I'm pretty sure I did, but if you have any questions, do let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know if you annotate your books as well, and maybe give me a little idea of how you do that. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you can see more videos from me in the future. But that's going to be it for me today, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.